Tip number 5 from the book, 501 Contractor Tips. This is actually a tip that I missed, it looks like. I went through my list the other day and there was no number 5, so this is a remake. Sorry about that. Tip number 5 is working your way up to larger jobs. This could be a problem for contractors who don't have the experience or the capital to do larger jobs. If you do have the experience and you've got the money, go for it. Ignore this tip. But if you're somebody who's not 100% comfortable doing larger jobs, then you might want to give this particular tip a little more thought. Now, what I did was I started out doing smaller jobs. Jobs for, let's just say, $2,000 or less. Started doing small home repair jobs. And then started doing room additions, small room additions, 16 foot by 16 foot room additions, something like that. And then started doing larger jobs, larger room additions. And I just kind of worked my way up from there. And but I did have to take a jump at one time. Most of the jobs I was doing were under 100,000. And I took a big jump from, I think the first time I did a big apartment remodel job, I was at almost 400,000. And this was a big leap for me. This was a big leap. I had a lot of stress on my life for about a year. Once I got past that hurdle, I could do more jobs and larger jobs. And I don't think I ever did one job ever signed $1 million contract. It never happened. And I think that would have been the next step from where I was going. But you do need to keep in mind that there are a lot of people who look at other contractors, and this is a big problem. They look at them and they say, you know, I could do that. This guy doesn't do anything. All he does is drive around in his truck all day. Every time I see him, he's on vacation. You don't get to a certain point in business without something. Without some type of a skill, and even if that skill is just being able to, you know, bullshit your way through these jobs, that if you don't have that skill, you're probably not going to be able to do it. I do know, or have known, a lot of contractors who didn't know much about their particular trade, but they had all the connections in the world, you know, so that's kind of where I'm going with this. If you have the resources, you've got the money, you've got the connections, great. If you have the capital, you've got the money, and if you make some mistakes, you're going to be able to absorb those mistakes because you got a lot of money. That's different. You know, if you don't have the money, you need the experience, then you're going to have to do smaller jobs. I don't mean you're going to have to. I'm just suggesting it's going to be easier for you in the long run to do smaller jobs and gradually work your way up to larger ones. And then once you're comfortable doing larger jobs, you can continue to do those size jobs or larger, expand into the next area. My original thought was I was going to start out doing small jobs, go to bigger jobs, and eventually build my own houses and eventually become a big home builder. And that never happened. So why didn't it happen? A variety of different reasons. And a lot of those, I should say the number one reason was I was probably afraid to take that next step. So fear is a big problem in business, but if you can work your way up gradually, you're going to reduce the amount of stress and fear generated from that. And I just think it's a better way to go. So keep that in mind. If you are small, you don't have to, you're probably asking how long of a time span would this take? Whatever you feel comfortable with. If you're doing jobs for $20,000 or less, and within 6 months you feel comfortable doing $50,000 jobs, and 6 months from there you feel like doing $1 million jobs, knock yourself out. It's really whatever you feel comfortable with. So don't forget, any questions or comments, leave them in the comment area, or questions I should say, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible.